practice Supta Virasana now with a focus on aligning the lower legs and moving into the pose in a way that creates maximum extension and freedom in the spine. So you can begin by coming into all fours. Either you can have your knees and your thighs together, or you can have your knees a little bit apart as long as the thighs are parallel. And sometimes if you take your knees slightly wider, it helps to release the pelvic floor. We'll be adjusting the knees one at a time. So if you have one knee that's more sensitive than the other, you'll do that one first. So I'm going to do my left knee. So I'm going to take my left thumb into the tendon right behind the knee on the outside. I'm going to take my index and middle finger on my right hand to the back of the knee medially, the inner edge. Now, you can put the crown of your head on the floor. With my left thumb right into that outer tendon, I'm going to go back, slightly out but mostly back. With my right fingers, I'm going to go forward and slightly out. So left thumb back, right fingers forward and out. As I do this, I feel that I'm adjusting the orientation of the knee itself so that the vertical axis is more vertical with the floor. And then I'm going to go back, holding that left thumb back, right fingers forward and out. I'm going to sit back in Virasana. And this puts me right on the center of my tibia. And the toes going back along the line of the shin. Now my left knee feels very comfortable, and I actually feel the difference between my left and my right knee. So in order to adjust my right knee, I'm going to come out just a little bit, and it's not going to be as complete, but you can adjust your second knee in the same way. Outer thumb back, inner fingers forward and out. And again, you feel that you're right on the center of the shin bone in a good Virasana, and the inner ankle is going straight back, so that you're really on the top of the foot as much as you can be. And you can also adjust this by using your thumbs to lengthen your inner ankles back to possibly get more right on the center of the top of the foot. When I adjust the lower legs like this, I feel my groins release down and I'm more comfortable in the pose. So now you can take your hands and release the top of the hamstrings out so that the inner groins go down really well. And then you're going to start to go back. So as you go back, if you're sitting up on something, then you're going to need additional height under you. So I'm using a bolster here and sitting on a floor, but if you're sitting on a block and you want additional height under your spine, you're going to need to build it up. As you go back, there can be the tendency to pop the ribs forward and kind of lift up. But instead of that, as you go back, keep the front ribs quiet. So the front of the diaphragm moves toward the back of the diaphragm, and the inner groins continue to move down. I'm going to keep my front ribs sedate, front of the diaphragm toward the back of the diaphragm, inner groins down. Now, at a certain point, if you start to feel compression, as you get closer to the full pose, you can move your buttock bones toward the backs of your knees to adjust like that. So the flesh of the buttocks actually moves toward the knees, and the tailbone will move up toward the pubic bone. Then, root the inner groins down again, front of the diaphragm toward the back of the diaphragm, and go back like that. So there's a sense that as the inner groins move down, the pubic bone moves toward the tailbone. As you lengthen the sitting bones toward your knees, the tailbone moves toward the pubic bone. So pubic bone toward tailbone, tailbone toward pubic bone creates a toning at the pelvic floor that will create a tremendous length in the spine and help to release the compression that can happen in the lower back. It can also help to press your heels forward with your hands to lengthen your low back. Then you can hold your elbows, take your arms overhead, keep the front of your diaphragm softening toward the back of the diaphragm, tailbone to pubic bone to tailbone as you lengthen. Allow your breath to expand right beneath the sternum and the top of your chest. To come up, place your hands. Come up by pressing your elbows down, and then place your hands on the floor. By pushing your hands forward slightly, you can lengthen the back to come up without disturbing the legs.